Probably 5, 4,
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. And you're with the Charlotte Bats podcast presented by the Stables Network. All right, Rick, take it away.
Hey guys, this is Rick Curdy of the Charlotte Bats. I'm the founder and CEO, and welcome to the Charlotte Bats podcast. I'm here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina, my adopted hometown. I'm actually originally from Los Angeles. I grew up a big Dodger fan, and speaking of Dodgers and speaking of baseball, wow, did you hear the big news that happened, not too long ago about the Houston Astros? They just they suspend the Major League Baseball suspended their manager and their GM for a year, and then the owner just said, "Oh, screw it," they fired him. So AJ Hinch was just fired. So that's his big blockbuster news. This is something I've never heard of a team being caught cheating, especially in the World Series, and it's just sad. And now the Red Sox allegedly are in hot water too. I know they had some draft picks taken away by the Astros. They got absolutely skewered by Major League Baseball, so the owner just fired the GM and AJ Hinch, the manager of the Astros. And well, what a huge black guy in baseball this is. Not only you have one team cheating, but now you have two, because the Red Sox are allegedly behind it too. So yeah, and it's so are the Dodgers going to get the World Championship rings? That's my question. Should they get the World Championship rings? If it looks like the Astros is true, and looks like maybe the Red Sox may be true, where the Dodgers going to get their ring? I hope so. So if that's the case, so we'll see what happens. I doubt it. I doubt that happens that the Dodgers get their ring, but I hate to win it like that because some team was caught cheating. It's kind of sad that happened, but I mean that's life, and it's just sad that all this happened. So this is a big news right now. It's shocking, it's sad, and it's really stupid because you're going to get caught with all the technology, with the internet, with Facebook, with social media, and it's a 24-hour news cycle, not only on cable news, but just on Facebook and just on Twitter and all these other social media. You're going to get caught. And that's the crazy thing, is that either they're incredibly arrogant or they're incredibly stupid or they're both. But I just can't believe that people still try to do something like this where they get caught cheating, stealing signs, it happens, we all see, what their pitchers they're tipping off or whatever. And, teams always steal signs. It's really not a big deal, but when you do it with technology and you're doing it with the internet and you're doing it by videotaping people and it's just crazy that people still think they can beat technology, but you can't. And I'm sure they're not the first to do this. They were just the first to get caught. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with the Red Sox. I'm sure they're going to get the same fate. Like I said, if this is the case and they're cheating, you got to give. I'm waiting for the Dodgers to get their ring. Hopefully they'll get the parade and they'll be the world champions now. And man, it's insane that this happens. I remember when Louisville got their title stripped away with Rick Pitino, and now the Astros, and now maybe the Red Sox, and just a huge black guy, not just in baseball, but in sports. You hear so much controversy with the Patriots, another Boston team, ironically, who were caught videotaping the Bengals practice. Of all teams to spy on are the Bengals, the worst team in the NFL. And then they said it was an accident. And then allegedly, they had the Deflategate, which to me, it was overblown. Most teams that have used an undersized football usually get a little fine or told not to do it. Panthers got in trouble for doing that. They just got told not to do it again. So to me, that was overblown. But like the videotaping the Jets practice, all that stuff, seems like the controversy is always with the Patriots. And now you got another Boston team like the Red Sox, and now you got the Astros. And it's just mind-boggling why people do this. It's just so stupid. You're going to get caught. and they really laid the hammer down. I doubt AJ Hinch will be managing in baseball anymore. I think he's done. He's probably like Pete Rose, like nobody's going to touch him anymore. Maybe he'll be a manager of some minor league baseball team somewhere in the Boondoggies, but other than that, he's done. And just a black eye in baseball, but it's a black eye in sports. So that's the big news right now about the Astros, and I'm sure the Red Sox are next. And we'll see. Wouldn't be surprised if 4 or 5 other teams are accused of doing this. Like I said, the Astros, not the first team to do this. They're just the first team to get caught. And that's the sad part about it. So I'm ready for the Dodgers to get their championship ring, get their parade, and we'll see what happens from there. But speaking of football and the Patriots, very exciting news here in Charlotte. We just got a new head coach in Matt Rule. Matt Rule is like one of the biggest names to come out of college for the last couple of years. And Panther Nation not very happy with him. They see his record. Oh, he's got a losing record. Yeah, but you got to understand, he took over 2 horrible programs. Temple, I didn't even know they had a football team. And he made them a very good team, a bowl game. He was always rumored to go to Penn State, where he played. James Franklin's there, of course. Then he went to Baylor, and you talk about taking over a horrific situation in Art Briles when he had all these players that he recruited that he knew about were accused of sexual assaulting, rape, and they almost got the death penalty. And, of course, Art Briles was fired. And that's probably the end. Last we'll hear of him. Last I heard of him, he was coaching some professional football team in Italy. I had no idea that Italy had professional football, but apparently they do. That was the last I ever heard of him. That was a couple of years ago. Have no idea what he's doing right now. I think his son is a coordinator somewhere, I think in Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. So he took over that program, and they had, I think, 1 or 2 wins his first season, and of course they had this great season this season. Went to a bowl game, fell a little short, but he's taken over 2 horrible programs. Well, guess what? He's taking over now a 3rd horrible program in the Panthers, because they were absolutely abysmal. Not only last year, but especially this year. They started out 0-2. Cam Newton got hurt. They put in Kyle Allen. He looked like Peyton Manning 2.0. I'm like, man, we found the quarterback of the future. And then after they played the 49ers, wonk, wonk, wonk. It wasn't meant to be. He struggled, fumbled, threw in a lot of interceptions, and unfortunately we threw in our rookie quarterback out there from Davidson, North Carolina, former Mountaineer, Will Grier. And, he was kind of set up to fail. We kind of just threw him out there, didn't do very well. People are like, oh, he's terrible. Why did you throw him out there? I mean, what do you expect? So Tepper just got tired of it, of course. The embarrassing loss to the Redskins in Charlotte. And that was it for Ron Rivera. And ironically, now he's the head coach of the Washington Redskins. So I wish him nothing but the best. He had a great 9 years here. He did a very good job. But what's wrong with the Panther fans is that they're happy with very good job, and I'm not. I want to see a Super Bowl in my city. I want to see a Super Bowl in my state. The only pro championship we have are the 2006 Carolina Hurricanes, and I wasn't even living here yet. I was still living in Las Vegas, so I didn't even see all that. And we've come close with 2 Super Bowls, but you know what? Close but no cigar. We have not won one yet. Tepper comes from the Steeler organization, where they're used to championships. They're used to having a coach there for 20, 30 years. It's amazing they only had 3 head coaches in that organization. That's just amazing. And that boggles the mind when you see all the head coaches that the Browns have. There's a revolving door. And so we'll see what happens with Matt Rule. I think it was a great hire. I think he's going to do a great job. He's there for 7 years, got a ton of money. So we already know that the Panther organization are going to be rebuilding for the next 2 years. So I know people are going to give this guy a hard time because they are in Ron Rivera denial. They're just sad that Ron Rivera left. And like I said, he did great, but it was just time to move on. And now the Panthers need to stop wanting to be a okay organization, or at least we're not the Cleveland Browns, as they tell me. Um, so hopefully we can win a championship, and we'll see what happens. And speaking of the Browns, they just hired their new coach, this Stefanowski guy. I never heard of him, but he was a coordinator for the Vikings. Apparently he was the runner-up last year to Freddie Kitchens, who I have no idea how in the world he got a head coaching job. I had said from the very beginning, and I said to Cleveland Browns fans who absolutely skewered me, and I said the Cleveland Browns are not going to the playoffs. They're going to go like 6-10, 7-9. It's not going to work out with Odell. It's not going to work out with Baker. And this guy they hired, I have no idea who he was. They never, ever, ever should have gotten rid of Greg Williams. He was the reason why they turned it around. When they got rid of Hugh Jackson, they did this complete turnaround. Baker looked like Peyton Manning. They looked like this great team on the rise, and carry that momentum till next season. And either they didn't want Greg Williams or he didn't want to be there. Really don't know what happened. They should have locked that door and begged them, please be the next head coach. And of course, Browns being the Browns who they are, thought, nah, we're good. Let's just get our coordinator, this Freddie Kitchens, whatever his name was. We got Odell Beckham now, and it was a complete disaster. That's the Browns. They're cursed. I don't know what to say. They are the worst run organization ever. They haven't been successful since the 60s with Jim Brown and, of course, the legendary Paul Brown, the owner. And they have just been absolutely abysmal since coming back in 1999. I think they've gone through 30 quarterbacks. I don't know. I lost track of head coaches. They keep getting head coaches that, they're not going to work. I wish this guy the best. I just don't think it's going to work. I give him like 2-3 years. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. You have an owner that just is clueless. He's like Daniel Snyder. He's absolutely clueless. He has no idea what he's doing. I don't even think he cares. I just think he's happy that he owns the team. And it's just really sad what's gone with it. It's embarrassing what's going on with the Browns organization. It's absolutely embarrassing. I guess they just believe their own hype. And they just thought, we're going to be okay. We got Odell Beckham. We got the next Peyton Manning and Baker Mayfield. We'll just put in some coach there. We're going to do great. And, of course, they got rid of their GM. They got rid of their head coach. They need to get rid of the owner. He needs to go away. He's the problem. So we'll see what happens with the Browns. They're not going to make the playoffs next season. They're probably not going to make the playoffs the next and the next and the next. Their coach will be there for 3 years. And, I don't even know why anybody would want to. I know you want to be a head coach, but I don't know why anybody would want to be a head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Matt Rule was actually interviewed for the Cleveland Browns job. He turned it down. Okay, this is a guy that wants to go to the NFL. He's been wanting to go to the NFL. He was supposed to go to the Jets last season. That got fouled up. Went back to Baylor. Did really great. He's been wanting to go to the pros for a long time. He turned down a head coaching interview with the Cleveland Browns. Now, how embarrassing is that? You've been wanting to go to the NFL for years and years and years. You want to go to the NFL. Everybody knows you want to go to the NFL. And you turned down the Cleveland Browns head coaching interview because you know how abysmal they are. I actually thought they would get Josh McDaniel. I thought, nope, he's from Ohio. He wants to be a head coach. But I think he did the right thing by not going there. He knows it's going to be a mess. He's left the Patriots before, and it took him a while to get back. And I actually think he'll take over for Belichick when Belichick decides to retire. So I think that's why Josh McDaniel's staying. And we'll see what happens with Brady. I give him a couple years. And the crazy thing about Brady, I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan, okay, but to burn his jersey after you lose in the playoffs, I mean, how spoiled and how entitled are Patriot fans? This is a guy that is probably the most decorated quarterback of all time. He's been to more Super Bowls, won more Super Bowls. He leads in everything in the playoffs and Super Bowls. This guy's clutch. You know, him or Joe Montana are the greatest quarterbacks. You know, either one or two. That's it. Hall of Famer. Never going to see a quarterback like him. A guy that nobody ever heard of. Just come out of nowhere and be this legendary superstar. And he burned his jerseys. That's just stupid. I don't understand. Why do you burn something that you bought? Yeah, that's teaching them a lesson. Let me burn Tom Brady's jersey. Yeah, they'll show them. They'll show Nike. They'll show the NFL. Yeah, I paid for it, but I'm going to burn it. Yeah, they really care. It's just so stupid. And of all people, Tom Brady, you're burning his jersey because you're not happy that you guys lost. Okay, well, the Titans they beat the Ravens. Okay, they're a great team. They're a team. There's always a Cinderella team in there. The Titans are the Cinderella team right now, the NFL. You got Henry. Tannehill just came out of nowhere. He was written off. The Dolphins gave up on him. He looked like he was going to be a backup for the rest of his career. He's comeback player of the year right now. He might be going to the Super Bowl. But it's just crazy how the spoiled, entitled Patriot fans who have just been successful, since, 2001 and are still strong. I mean, they went 12 games and it's a off year for them. It was an off year for them. They were a wild card and only had 12 wins. Tom Brady only threw for 25 touchdowns, only threw for over 4,000 yards, and he's 42 years old. And he wants to play till he's 45. And he burned his jersey because they're mad because they didn't go to the Super Bowl or at least go to a conference championship. I'm telling you, man, if that's not the definition of being spoiled, I don't know what is. So shame on you, New England Patriot fans, for doing that. And now people saying, well, maybe Tom Brady will go. He's not going anywhere. He's not going to the Chargers. He's not going to the Colts. He's not going to the Panthers. I would love for him to go to the Panthers. He ain't going to the Panthers. He's going to stay in New England. They're going to give him a ton of money. They'll give him a 2-year deal, and then he'll go to the Hall of Fame. Will he win another Super Bowl? I don't think so, but he's won more Super Bowls than anybody. He's been to more Super Bowls. He don't need to win another Super Bowl. His legacy is cemented. It's like LeBron James. There's really nothing for them to do is just add on to their stats. They could retire right now and go to the Hall of Fame. They're walking in the Hall of Fame. He should be preparing a speech right now. So that's my take on it. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan. People want to call him a system quarterback. It's just crazy. He's a great quarterback. And it's sort of like Joe Montana and Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh would not be Bill Walsh without Joe Montana, and Joe Montana would not be Joe Montana without Bill Walsh. It's the same thing in New England. Tom Brady would not be anything without Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick would be nothing without Tom Brady. It's just a duo. They work good together. So that's my take on that. So it's crazy. They want to burn his jerseys. I'll take Tom Brady, 42, 52, 62, 72. Come to the Panthers. I'll show you around. We need a quarterback. So that's what's happening in sports right now. A lot of excitement there with the Panthers. Craziness going on in baseball. And like I said, I'm from Los Angeles. I'm actually taking a trip. I'm actually going to be in LA in March. Haven't been back in years. Grew up originally from Torrance, where I'm from. We'll be visiting my brother and sister there. It's been a while, and actually got tickets to the LA Wildcats. And a lot of people are probably like, "Who are the LA Wildcats?" Well, there's a new football league coming. It's called the XFL, and I'm really excited. I've been down on the NFL for a while. All these rule changes, the games take too long. Fighting players for wearing Christian headbands or wearing your socks too high. Roger Goodell is the judge, jury, executioner there. He always plays like, "Oh, I didn't know that," or "I can't do that." Of course you can. You're the commissioner. You do whatever you want. So I've been kind of not really enthralled with the NFL lately. So I'm very excited to see the XFL. And they got teams in Los Angeles, of course. They play in Carson. My brother lives there. Got a team in Houston. They got a team in Tampa. St. Louis got a team. New York's got a team. Got some great head coaches and Kevin Gilbride. Just great coaches. June Jones in Houston. Mark Trestman in Tampa. Bob Stoops is actually the coach of the Dallas Renegades. And it's going to be exciting. They're playing at the old Texas Rangers baseball stadium, Globe Life Park. They're going to transform it into a professional football, professional soccer stadium. And that's the right way to go. I hate to see things torn down. We tear everything down. We tear down the Hornets arena. The new stadium, eventually Tepper would want that. They'll tear that down. So it's nice to see old stadiums transformed into something new. So I applaud the Rangers for doing that. So I'm excited to see the XFL. It starts in less than a month. It starts in February. It starts a week after the Super Bowl. And I'm excited because I love football. They made all these cool rule changes. They made the game safer, faster, quicker. And I'm sure the NFL will steal it and take credit for it, like they took credit when the old XFL was there in 2001. All the mic'd up coaches and the mic'd up players. That's the XFL that did all that. The big camera in the middle of the field, XFL did that. So they'll take their ideas, and of course they'll take credit for it. But I hope it does very well. I think it will do very well. It's not competing with the NFL. It's right after the NFL season's over. It's a 10-game season. There's only 8 teams. I'm sure they'll expand. Maybe Charlotte will get a team. We don't know. So we'll see what happens in their first season. I've been following this for the past 2 years. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see a live football game in the spring when I go out there in March, taking my brother with me. And we'll see what happens. So I hope Mr. McMahon, hope it works out. I think it will. People love football. They want to see more football. I know I like to see more football after the NFL season is over, just like I love to see baseball. I'm going through baseball withdrawal right now. So we'll see what happens. And as I said about Matt Rule going to the Panthers, got more exciting news that came out of Charlotte. We have a professional MLS team coming. The MLS expanded now to 30 teams, and Charlotte's the 30th team to get a professional Major League Soccer franchise. So that's exciting. I'm excited, but I'm not a big soccer fan or football fan. I think it's boring. I fall asleep through it. I'm tired of seeing 0-0, 1-0, 2-0 games. I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of the professional sports to come to our city. And I think eventually that'll lead to Major League Baseball coming to our city and state. So I'm excited about that. We'll see what happens. They'll be playing at Bank of America. The Mr. Tepper, David Tepper, is the new, fairly new owner of the Panthers, is the one that got the ball rolling. He wanted to see a MLS team. We've been rumored to get one for last couple of years, and he finally got it through. They don't start till 2021. There's no name, no colors, no nothing right now. Just we got a team, and we'll see what happens. I think it'll be successful. And hopefully that'll be a springboard to, of course, Major League Baseball coming to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is something I'm pursuing. And the great thing is that we're on that list still from the commissioner. And we're just waiting to see what happens with Tampa Bay, waiting to see what happens in Oakland. Hopefully they'll get new stadiums. And it's very exciting news. And you see a lot of teams that want to expand. One of the owners of the Orlando Magic, he actually wants to put a team in Orlando. And a lot of people are probably laughing at him, saying, man, you got 2 teams in Florida that can't survive. They have terrible attendance. Why would you want to put a team in Orlando? But you know what? I think it's a good idea. I really do. I think Tampa Bay should probably move to Orlando. If you're going to put a professional team in Florida, why not Orlando? Why not build a stadium near Disney World? I'm sure the traffic won't be helpful. But Florida, for some reason, Florida is struggling with Major League Baseball. They'll talk about Tampa is really in St. Petersburg, and you got to drive over a bridge, and it's a hassle to get there. But you got a team in Miami, in downtown, surrounded by, people from Cuba who love baseball. They're not going to the games. They first said that it was the owner, and he was a terrible owner, which he was. He ripped off the state out of $600 million to build them a new stadium. He's gone. And now you got Derek Jeter there, who's probably one of the most beloved baseball players ever, one of the most beloved Yankees ever. He owns the team. They're still not going. And he actually thought that they were going to go see the Marlins because of him. And I think he's realizing that, And I just don't know what's up with these great athletes that make these terrible owners. We have one here in Charlotte, and Michael Jordan, probably the greatest basketball player ever lived. He's a terrible owner. He was a terrible G. Fired him. Probably one of the worst the number one draft pick at Kwame Brown out of high school. It was a complete and utter bust. And now he's the head owner of the Hornets, and they're just irrelevant. They just let their best player work. He's doing great things in Boston. Boston looks, with Kemba. And the Hornets they're just the Hornets. It's sad. And and I don't understand these owners that are terrific players. You think on paper they probably make the best owners. They're terrible. Magic Johnson's another one. He was a terrible coach when he coached the Lakers for a short period of time. It was a disaster when he was a GM with the Lakers. They're just players they're these great athletes, these superstar athletes, and yet when they become owners and coaches, I guess they expect everyone to play as good as them, and they don't understand, why aren't they as good as me? Why can't they shoot like a three-pointer like me? Why can't they dunk like me? Why can't they dribble like me? Why can't they hit a baseball like me? Why don't they have that passion like me? I don't get it. You would think they make the best of the best owners, or the best managers are players that had okay careers. Pat Riley wasn't I don't even know if he played in the NBA. No, he played for Kentucky. Phil Jackson was a very good basketball player with the Knicks. Usually the best coaches and the best owners they never did that good. They were okay. Joe Torre, he had a very good baseball career. But he's, one of the best managers ever with the Yankees and the Cardinals and the Braves. It's just crazy. And so I think Derek Jeter is really just experiencing and realizing, man, maybe being an owner is not as great as it is. I wouldn't be surprised if he sold the team in a couple of years. I think he's that frustrated. He's got to be. Almost going to the games. They had the worst attendance again. Last year they didn't even draw 1 million people. I mean, it's horrible there. And now the owner of the Orlando Magic wants to bring a team to Orlando, and I said, well, why not? They ain't going to get it. There's no way they're going to put a third team in Florida. But I admire him, what he's doing. Maybe building a stadium near Disney World, near Mickey Mouse will help. I don't know. But it's just kind of funny how Florida they can't support Major League Baseball. It's pretty sad. They got two teams out there, and the Rays are good. The Rays are a good team. People are just not going. The Rays have been rumored to move to Montreal, Charlotte, Las Vegas, San Antonio, wherever they want to put them. They don't get a stadium done by 2027 with their lease rent out. They're done. They ain't coming back. They'll either be the Charlotte Rays or the Montreal Rays or the Expos or the Orlando Rays or whatever you want to call them. They're not going to be in Tampa. They don't get a new stadium. You have a good team there, a team that shouldn't even be competing because they're so small market. They don't have the big stars. They don't have the big, manager. He's not a Lou Piniella or a Earl Weaver or a Billy Martin. Very calm, quiet guy, and they're doing great. The Rays. I feel bad for them because they're such a good team, and they play in a horrific stadium, and they're playing in front of like 12, 13,000 people every night. It's got to be depressing. So my heart goes out to the Rays. I hope eventually Florida will support a Major League Baseball team. I don't know if it's going to be the Rays. I don't know if it's going to be the Marlins. Maybe they'll just get rid of both. I don't know. Marlins ain't going nowhere. They just got a new stadium. Maybe they'll move to Orlando. Maybe Jacksonville. I have no idea. But I think it's interesting to see why not put a team in Orlando. It ain't going to happen, like I said. But why not? Just like San Antonio is not going to get an NFL team since they already got Houston and Dallas there. They probably support it. They would do a good job supporting a professional football team in San Antonio. But an NFL team, forget it. And speaking of expansion, I'm obsessed with expansion. Since doing this research about Charlotte getting a Major League Baseball team, I found out all these cities have been trying to get a team. I used to live in Las Vegas. I lived there for 5 years, and of course, when I lived there, we had no pro teams. The great thing about living in a city that doesn't have pro teams, you get all the networks you want. I had Arizona Diamondbacks baseball. I had Arizona Cardinal football, San Diego Charger football, or Oakland football. Everything. And of course, I move, and then they get an NHL team, and now the Raiders are coming. And I saw pictures and videos of this new. So have you seen videos and pictures of this new stadium they built in Las Vegas? It's this big, black, gargantuan stadium. It's all black right now. And people said it looks like the Death Star from Star Wars. It looks amazing. It's going to have a retractable roof. I never thought Las Vegas would ever get a team. When I lived out there, they have gambling out there. That's all they do out there. People are going to fix games. It's just too tempting. But I think what's helped Las Vegas is the fantasy sports, the online sports, fantasy football, fantasy baseball. And now Las Vegas looks like they might get a pro MLB team. They're on that list with Charlotte. They just built a beautiful stadium in Summerlin called the Aviators. That's the name of their team. When I lived out there, they're called the Las Vegas. What are they called? They're the Las Vegas. They're the Aliens. I my mind what they used to be called, but they used to be called the Dallas Stars before that. And now they're the Aviators. They just led all of minor league baseball in attendance. Did very, very well. They played in this horrific stadium in the horrible part in Las Vegas. Nobody ever went to it. You build this beautiful stadium in Summerlin. People are going just like the Knights. Build a beautiful stadium in Uptown Charlotte. People started going, and then Major League Baseball saw it and said, "Hey, you know what? Let's look at Charlotte for MLB. They already got pro football. They already got pro basketball." I'm telling you, Las Vegas is on the rise. They're going to be known as a great city that they can support pro sports. They're supporting their Golden Knights. They're going to support the Raiders. And I think what the excellent thing that they did was that when they built that stadium, there's no way in the world the residents of Las Vegas would approve of that. So they put a tourist tax. They put a hotel tax on the tourists. The tourists pay for it. They pay for the Raiders' new stadium. That's the great thing about living in a tourist city. You can do stuff like that. So I'm excited to see the Raiders. My brother's a huge Raiders fan. I remember when they were in Los Angeles. I remember when they moved back to Oakland in '94. I stopped rooting for them. It's like good riddance. But I'm excited to see them in Las Vegas. I know my brother is. He'll follow them wherever they go. He loves the Raiders. So I'm excited to see a pro team in Las Vegas. I think the Raiders would do well. A lot of people are laughing at it, but Oakland just didn't want to build a stadium, and it's sad because the Raiders' last home game in Oakland. See what happened? They were throwing trash on the field. They were like getting rid of seats. They were booing them, and I'm just like, Oakland, don't get mad at the Raiders. Don't get mad at Mark Davis. He wants a new stadium. They were promised a new stadium when his dad moved them back to Oakland in '94. There's no way Los Angeles was going to build them a brand new stadium. They were going to refurbish the Coliseum. They didn't want that. They moved back to Oakland. Never got their new stadium. They just kept adding on and adding on and adding on to the athletic stadium. And now they're gone. And they booed them. They threw trash at them. They got rid of seats. They vandalized the place. Get mad at the city council. Get mad at the mayor. They're the ones that screwed up on this. Mark Davis got tired of it. I don't blame him. Once they got word that he was talking to the mayor of Las Vegas and the mayor of San Antonio, as soon as he got back to Oakland, he tripled his rent, and that was it. I'm out of here. It was already contentious as it was. That was like the final straw. He just was sick of being there in Oakland. They never, ever should have moved back to Oakland. Should have stayed in Los Angeles. And honestly, the Raiders should not be in Las Vegas. Las Vegas deserves a pro NFL team. The Raiders should have went back to Los Angeles. Why the Chargers are in Los Angeles is beyond me. They can't even sell out a soccer stadium. And when you go see a Charger game, half the crowd is Steelers, Raiders. And I think the NFL is realizing that was a big screw up. Dean Spanos, God rest his soul, really botched that up. Should have stayed in San Diego or moved to St. Louis. Something. Raiders should have stayed in Los Angeles where they belong. People that are not Rams fans, they could care less about the Rams. When I lived out there, they were the Lambs. I remember when Eric Dickerson got traded to the Colts. They were a joke. They moved to St. Louis, and of course, to become the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. Now they're back. And speaking of the Rams, what a disappointment they were, huh? I thought for sure they would be back in the playoffs. I didn't think they'd repeat, but I guess that Super Bowl hangover. The teams had all off season to prepare for them. Sean McVay looked like the Mozart of the NFL, looked like this child prodigy, this 33, 34-year-old head coach. Looked like, like the next best thing. We don't know. We don't know what's up with the Raiders. They look terrible. Goff, I said from the very beginning, is not a franchise quarterback. They give him all this guaranteed money. He's just not a franchise quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's decent. Not a franchise quarterback. He needs a good defense. He needs a great offensive line to make him successful. They just don't look that good. I have no idea what the Rams are going to be back. I don't know if McVay's, that's it for him. Was he like a one-done deal? Was he like this great superstar that came and all of a sudden disappeared, never heard from him again? We don't know what happens. I'm excited to see the new stadium out there. When I'm out there, I'm going to go see it, what it looks like. I'm excited about it, where the Rams and Chargers will play. We'll see what happens with them. I don't know what's going to happen with the Rams. We'll see. But Goff, is he the quarterback? Nah. They might make the playoffs, go 9-7, go wild card. I can see them doing that, but winning a Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl, I doubt that happens. I'll be surprised if that happens with the Rams. And they got to make some big changes. I don't know what's up with Gurley. He looks like the next Eric Dickerson. He hadn't done anything. Goff was supposed to step it up and be an elite quarterback, and he went 2-3 steps backwards. McVay, I think the NFL figured him out already. That's what the NFL does. They figure people out. It's like Lamar Jackson. Everyone was saying he was the legend. He's the greatest. I love Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Lamar Jackson hater. But you can't just say he has a great year, and you can't say he's changed the game of football. Give him 2 or 3 years. If he can do this in 2 or 3 years, absolutely he's changed the quarterback. But you can't crown him after one season. You just can't. And look what happened in the playoffs. Now everyone said he's overrated. It's amazing. Like I said, people burning Tom Brady's jerseys. Now they're all dumping on Lamar Jackson, saying, oh, he's overrated. He's not all that good. No, he's a great quarterback. He's a great running quarterback. But do I think that's going to last? No, I don't. We just saw something like this with the Wildcat. Remember the Wildcat? That would be the next best thing. Pat White was going to be the next great quarterback that was going to change the face of the football. Yeah, that lasted not even a season because the NFL figured it out. So we'll see what happens with Lamar Jackson. I think he'll be the next RG3. I don't think he's going to last. Give him 2 or 3 years, and if he's doing this and take him to the Super Bowl or making them contenders and he's winning MVPs like crazy and throwing 30 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions, rushing for 1,500 yards, if he can do this for 3-4 years, man, my hat's off to him because we've seen quarterbacks like that. It never really worked out. You know, he had Michael Vick. You had Randall Cunningham, but their careers were cut short. RG3, of course, look what happened to him. Messed up his knees, not the same. And he got Lamar Jackson, and he really impressed people. Surprised me. I always thought he's too small. Still think he's too small. But has he changed the quarterback? No. I think they'll figure it out. I think we'll see what he does next year. I don't know. I don't think he's going to completely fall off, but I don't think he's going to be throwing for 30-some touchdowns and 6 interceptions and rushing for 1,500 yards. I don't see that happening. But if he could do similar to what he did this year, yeah, he's totally changed the game. But right now it's way too early. But he's not overrated. But you got to give him 2 or 3 years and see what he can do. And, of course, unfortunately, the Ravens lost. Tennessee is the new Cinderella team of the NFL. Packers won. Chiefs, I don't know what happened to Houston. They're up, 24-0? Just absolutely fell off. And I love Deshaun Watson. I'm a huge Deshaun Watson fan. See him play in Clemson. He's a great quarterback. Not shocked. Cleveland Browns should have drafted him number 1. They didn't do that. Could have had him. Could have had Pat Mahomes. The Bears could have had those quarterbacks. They could have had Deshaun Watson too. They got Trubisky. I never saw him. He was okay in North Carolina. He was fine. He was all right. But he's like another Goff. He's just one great year. Next season, they figured him out. Look at how bad the Bears struggled. To me, they were the disappointing team in the NFL. They were my big disappointment. I thought for sure they'd go back to the playoffs or win the division or compete for a Super Bowl. No idea what happened to them. I guess they were a one-hit wonder. We'll see what they do next season. We'll see what a lot of these coaches do next season. We'll see what the Broncos do. Do they have their quarterback with Locke? I have no idea. He could be the next John Elway or he could be the next Paxton Lynch. I have no clue. So a lot of question marks. A lot of question marks for the Panthers about Matt Rule. Usually it's very, very difficult for college coaches to succeed in the NFL. That's why I only have, 3 coaches that have won college championships and have won a Super Bowl? Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, and Pete Carroll. That's it. All the rest failed or they were okay. Even Nick Saban. Nick Saban went to the NFL. He didn't do well. He got tired of it. He said, screw this, I'm going back to college. Build a dynasty with Alabama. So it's not for everybody. There are rumors that Urban Meyer might go to the NFL. I think he's done. I think he wants to spend time with his family. I'm sure he's got enough money as it is. He's going to the Hall of Fame. We all know that. See, Spurrier even went to the NFL, didn't do very well. Went back to college. It just doesn't work out. So, the odds of Matt Rule succeeding is really not that great. But do I think it's a great hire? Yeah. Was it time for them to get rid of Ron Rivera? Yeah. He's a great coach. But, like I tell people, he's not Don Shula. He's not Bill Walsh. He's not Lombardi. He was a great coach, but, did his 9 years here. I applaud him. I wish him nothing but the best. But the Panther fans think he was a great coach. Just look at his record besides Jason Garrett. They're almost identical. And I've never heard anybody say Jason Garrett's a great coach. And speaking of the Cowboys, they got a new coach in Mike McCarthy. I was surprised he went there. I really am. I thought there's no way Jerry Jones is going to get a big name head coach. There's no way. He's so controlling. He's so meddling. But Mike McCarthy went there. I applaud him. Not that they waited too long to get rid of Garrett. We all knew he was gone. But they got Mike McCarthy. I was hoping he'd go to the Panthers. I thought he'd go to the Giants if he didn't go to the Panthers. I know he wasn't going to go to Cleveland. But I applaud Dallas for getting him. I was surprised that he went there. And I hope he succeeds because I'm a huge Mike McCarthy fan. This is a head coach that people have trashed for some bizarre reason. Even the Panther fans were like, oh, God, I don't want him. He's terrible. He's won a Super Bowl. What do you mean he's terrible? How is he terrible? Sean Payton gets all this credit, and I love Sean Payton. I'm a huge Sean Payton fan. But, again, you want to look at records? Put Sean Payton's record next to Mike McCarthy's. Same record. Same winning percentage, identical wins and losses. Both have won the Super Bowl. Both have the same number of division titles. How is Sean Payton an elite coach and Mike McCarthy's not? That's crazy. He is a great coach. He did great in Green Bay. He had Brett Favre. He got absolutely skewed when Brett Favre left. They got Aaron Rodgers, and look at Aaron Rodgers. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And like Ron Rivera, it was just time for him to go. They struggled the last couple of years. He wasn't getting along with Rodgers. Rodgers wasn't shedding any tears when he left. He was kind of like glad he left. Some people think he's the one that got rid of him. Just some people need a change, Doesn't mean they're not a great head coach. Doesn't mean Ron Rivera's a bad, terrible coach. It was just time. He'd been there 9 years. It's time to move on. And I hope he does well with the Redskins. And again, another meddling owner, Daniel Snyder, doesn't even know what he's doing. He's clueless. So hopefully he'll let Ron Rivera do his thing. I think they'll do great. If he lets Ron Rivera do his job, I think he'll make them a playoff team. I mean, the only way he can go is up. Can't get any worse than what the Redskins did. They got the number 2 pick. I like Dwayne Haskins. It's just been a mess there since Daniel Snyder's taken over. He's clueless. He's a clueless owner. He's James Dolan. Doesn't know what he's doing. Just throws money around. Gets all these players that are past their prime or had a couple good seasons. We got all the players he got. Bruce Smith, he's already past his prime. Josh Norman, he was great here. He comes there. He hasn't done nothing. You got Deion Sanders, already past his prime. Albert Hainsworth. Who could forget Albert Hainsworth? What a disaster that was. All that money he gave him. And they got rid of him. Never heard of Albert Hainsworth again. He looked like a Hall of Fame tackle with the Titans. He left and was a joke. Gave him all that money. That's what he does. Just throws money around. But I think he actually made a great hire in Ron Rivera. Just let Ron Rivera do his job. Just don't be so meddling. Don't tell the coaches, hey, let's draft this player. I want this quarterback. It's like RG3. That's how he lost Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan didn't want RG3. That's why he got Cousins. That's why Snyder got rid of Cousins, because that was not his pick. It was RG3. So he had to do whatever he can to get rid of Kirk Cousins. That was a big mistake. So I hope he does. I hope he lets him do his job. Just like I hope Jerry Jones lets Mike McCarthy do his job. Don't be so meddling. He's won a Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy knows how to coach. That's why he hired him. So don't meddle. Let them do their job. I'm not a Cowboy fan by any stretch of the imagination. I can't stand them, to be quite honest. It's not the team that I don't like, it's the fans who are still thinking this is 1991, saying, yeah, we're America's team. No, you're not. You're not America's team. You haven't done nothing in the last 20 years. That's how you guys won the Super Bowls in junior high school. You're not America's team, but getting Mike McCarthy, he'll just go to the playoffs. You have an easy division. The Giants are rebuilding. And I'm going to get to the Giants later with their head coach. That's another head scratcher right there. They got an easy division. The Redskins are rebuilding. They're not going nowhere. It's either going to be the Cowboys or the Eagles division. That's it. The Eagles are probably one of the worst divisional champions ever. It's a weak division. Anybody can have it. They haven't had back-to-back winner in that division in a decade. It's been years since I was repeating that division. It's theirs to take. It's right there. It's there for the taking. And as I said, I was talking about the Giants head coach. I never heard of this dude. Has anybody heard of this Judge guy? I haven't. That was a big letdown by the Giants. To me, that was the best job out there. You got a good young quarterback, out of Duke, of course, North Carolina. You got all those pieces there. You got a great franchise there. You got a great ownership there. They let you do your thing. But, man, the Giants have absolutely fouled up the last coaching jobs. Pat Schumer was a terrible decision. I said from the beginning, he ain't going to last. And now you got this guy, this Judge guy. Like, I've never heard of this dude. Jerry's a nice guy. I love his press conference. Very, very passionate. I love the passion. He totally won the press conference. I never heard of this dude. He was a linebackers coach for the Patriots. I'm like, okay. I never heard of him. I never heard of this Judge guy. Will he succeed? I don't know. Do I think he will? No. Especially in New York, where they're absolutely vicious out there. I'm sure they're not happy with the head coaching decision. Mike McCarthy is out there. Apparently Matt Rule was going to interview with the Giants, and apparently when he got all that money, he got like $60 million for 7 years. I think with extra incentives, it's more. I think it go up to $70 million. And apparently he called the Giants up, or his agent called them up and said, can he match that offer? And the Giants said, nope. And he goes, okay, I'm going to Carolina, going to Charlotte. So I'm glad he's going. I'm glad he's, like I said, that was a great head coaching decision with the Panthers. So I'm happy with that. But, man, the Giants was the best job. I thought for sure they'd get like Mike McCarthy, Matt Rule, some big-name head coach there, Marvin Lewis, Jim Caldwell. But, man, they really dropped the ball again. They should have just kept Pat Schumer if that's what they're going to do. They knew all those coaches were gone. They knew they didn't need to make a decision right away because free agency, hey, you don't have a head coach. Why am I going to play for your team? So we'll see what happens. I don't think he'll do very well. But he was great in his press conference. I love the passion. Very, very intelligent. Very passionate. He could be the next Bill Parcells. I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see what happens with the Giants. We'll see what happens with a lot of these head coaching. I think Matt Patricia, I think he's gone. I think next season, this will be his final season. That was a terrible decision by the Lions to get rid of Caldwell. He was such a good coach. They got him for Matt Patricia again. The whole Bill Belichick, tree. They never do good. The only one that's done successfully is Bill O'Brien, and he's rumored every year to get fired. I heard he might get fired this season. That was terrible. Josh McDaniels, I don't think he's a great head coach. He didn't do anything with Denver. I'm glad he didn't go to the Panthers. I'm glad that he's not a head coach. I think he's going to take over for Belichick, like I said. Maybe Belichick will retire, and like Tom Brady will go to the Hall of Fame. But they're just loving that whole Belichick tree, and it just doesn't work. Charlie Weiss was a complete and
So Adam Gase is going to be safe. That might have to be the shocking part of this silly season of coaching. That Adam Gase stayed.
Well, just remember they actually had the best record in the NFL in the second half.
Oh, certainly. But you gotta. You know me. I'm still mad about Le'Veon Bell.
So we're down to 20 seconds. I believe we're live on YouTube already.
Yep.
Sorry, I cut it a little bit early.
Don't worry about that. No. Thank goodness you reminded me 20 seconds early. Would have been blabbering about it.
No, you
All
guys
right,
doing?
well, now speaker's slowing down. Well, we're live on YouTube, and we're bringing you live, rocking on the shores of Lake Erie. Take it away, guys.
All right. Hey, thank you. Rocking on the shores of Lake Erie. Boy, there's been a lot going on in the sports world. Hi, Eric and Lewis
Hey,
and Ellen and Mark if he's on and Brett. Thank you. Before I go any further, thank you guys for taking over last week. As usual, I never hear good news as a doctor. But anyway, there's a lot going on, and are we ready? Excuse me. The quote for today is, "Decide what you want, then make it happen," by Robert Bridge. That sort of hit home. Maybe you want something bad enough, you go for it. And that's what's going on with the coaches. That's what's going on with the teams. That's what's going on with our crew here. Correct, guys?
Yep.
Holy.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to bring up is this is just a quick basketball NBA. This is according to ESPN. From the Cleveland Cavaliers. Since the move, the Jazz has gone 8-0 and jumped into the top 5 of the Western Conference. Hey, sure, they get the Western. We're still at 12-27 Cavaliers. We'll talk more basketball as the season goes on. Right now, it's football, NFL time. Coming down to the wires as I call it, the switching of the coaches. Really, we've had a lot of switching with the coaches. I'm going to talk about obviously the Cleveland Browns. They made their choice yesterday. They took a few days. I believe he was like the 5th one in. Let me quote, make sure I say it right.
In 3 hours.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about him, but I'm reading about him and learning about him. And give me a second, and I'm going to get it up because I was reading at ESPN.
Actually, it was 2 hours.
No, wait. Now you're really pushing them. Yeah, he was actually what the second in choice for the Kitchens last year. All right, I'm gonna read from ESPN. Well, as we all know, Kevin Stefanski officially hired as Browns coach. He gets a 5-year contract. Like y'all say, it's the 2 year. in a couple hours, they had decided. I have a feeling they knew ahead of time who they wanted. Kevin Stefanski has been handed a 5-year contract to take over as the 18th full-time Cleveland Browns coach. A source told ESPN's Adam Schefter. I'm just reading a little bit. The Vikings offensive coordinator was officially hired by Cleveland on Monday as the 10th head coach since the Browns' 1999 expansion return, which to this point has been a resounding 2-decade debacle. The 37-year-old Stefanski, who spent 14 seasons as an assistant in Minnesota, has never been a head coach at any level. I'm a little worried about that. Will be introduced at a news conference tomorrow at First Energy Stadium. And it goes on, parading out a new coach is an annual or semi-annual exercise with the Browns, who haven't been to the NFL playoffs since 2002 and have been in a perpetual search for a coach to help restore their damaged image. Owners Dee and Jimmy Haslam have hired 5 coaches, and the Browns are 93 to 1 since they agreed to buy the team before the 2012 season. Stefanski accepted contract terms and agreed to accept a Cleveland job on Sunday, a day after the Vikings season ended with a 27-10 playoff loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Haslam says we were looking for a strong leader of this football team, a very bright coach with a high football IQ who could establish a strong understanding of what he expected of his players, hold them accountable, and confidently navigate the challenges and opportunities that present themselves throughout the season. Kevin exemplifies his qualities and more. This is coming from me, as Eric and we were all talking beforehand, a lot of this, people in Cleveland, the fans in Cleveland are unsure with him because he's never had coaching abilities. He's, it just doesn't really play out yet, but, all the media stuff doesn't help either, whether it's negative or negative. So in time, we will know what goes on. We'll know what goes on with the plays. As the time goes on, we'll know what we're doing. Will we do better next year? Who knows? We'll see as time goes on, like I said, and we'll see how Kevin does and who else will be staffed with him and the players that want to stay. I don't know how this is going to work out. And as far as I'm concerned, if I were to give him I don't know much about him, but for his coaching abilities, I don't know. I guess I would give him an average until we really know. I hope he can do it. The old saying in Cleveland is, there's always next year. And now it's all over the NFL. It's with an NBA all over. I mean, they just don't seem to keep coaches. How do they expect to have a rivalry team that would be good? And all right, guys, your guys' turn.
I always thought the saying was mistake on the lake, but I guess I was mistaken by that too. Okay. Anyway, I found some hockey news that appeals to our area, the New Jersey area, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, for those of you who know, the Devils have had a mediocre season at best, but I think today this is where the bomb really drops, as they did some more to say cleaning house. As they fired their general manager.
Another one.
Yeah, well, a general manager, not like a manager or a coach. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
They do have a tough division to really go against. I mean, I like to see how they can square away all this stuff. The Islanders have been trending upwards so much since.
Right.
Yes, since they had that manager hired, and they had and the Rangers are not that bad of a team. I'm not entirely shocked to hear that kind of stuff come up, though. Yeah, that's just crazy. When did that headline cross again?
It came across this morning.
Yeah, just this morning. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they fired general manager Ray Shiro last night before the victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the assistant GM, Tom Fitzgerald, is going to take over and got support from Marty Brodeur. Now, the chairman of the Devils, John Harris, said that Ray is a talented executive of great success, but the way this team has been going this season, they said, well, it's time for us to move into a new direction. And, as they are one of the worst teams in the league right now. I mean, when Lou Lamoriello had control of the team, he turned the team into a powerhouse. They had 3 Stanley Cups in an 8-year run. They went to the finals also in 2013, only to lose by the Kings. But since Shiro took over, they have not been the same, and it's really it's showing how bad they've really become since he took over. Amarillo knew how to win. Shiro does not have a winning formula of this team. So, I think the right move has been made. And, now that we're in the halfway point of the season, it's not looking good for the Devils this year to make the playoffs. In fact, I'm going to go to the standings here, and I'm just going to show you how bad it really is. Oh, boy, it is bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, by my standards, they're pretty bad. So anyway, okay, the standings are going to go like this, and we're in the Metropolitan Division, and 17 and 28 overall. Now, if you count shootout and overtime losses, it's 17, 21, 7. But anyway, you look at it, it is horrible. And they only have 41 points. They are the worst in the division, and they are the second worst in the Eastern Conference.
I would personally like to throw in a plus minus, whether or not you can fact check my plus minus, because there was a tweet coming out today at 1:00 from the official New Jersey Devils account that Court Schneider has been recalled from Binghamton. So Schneider's back at net, apparently.
Okay, good sign. Yeah.
I mean, listen, and the name I was looking for was Barry Trotz, and the guys at the Islanders. It's not there's no outs. There's no free lunch in the Metropolitan Division. I think it's among one of the toughest corners to come out of when it comes to NHL. So, well, to make a move, it's something else. I think it really speaks so very much that where's the firepower of the team? You got PK Subban.
There is none.
No, other than PK Subban.
Other than Subban, there is no firepower with the Devils.
And it just, but the fact is, exactly, it's a big hole to crawl out of. The All-Star breaks right around the corner, halfway through the season. I think the reality is, we're talking about getting as much points as you can.
Let's put it this way, Alan. They're not going to be the St. Louis Blues of last year when they were in last place at Christmas time and gone to win the Stanley Cup. This team is not going to be another late season success story. Not going to happen.
No, DraftKings thinks otherwise. Yeah, they also, incidentally, Greg Ehrenberg had a column about 2020 is Blake Coleman's year. So, if you want to look up Daily Fantasy, that's it. But we're not a Daily Fantasy show. We're talking about the Devils getting back to the pinnacle that was their Stanley Cup reign from a decade and a half ago.
You need to get back Taylor Hall, but since he left, they've been, absolutely horrible. And, but he's not going to come back. So I think it's safe to say it's a lost cause for the Devils this season, and possibly more to come. I mean, you had the top draft choice this year, and he has been anything but a big success. In fact, I think he's been a bust so far. So, all the hype surrounding the Devils has pretty much been for naught this season.
Right.
and it looks like they're being put on ice. Oh, like that. Ooh.
We've all been put on ice. I mean, come on. Yours truly coming back from a week of a bout with the winter cold.
Right. Right.
Know those feels. We know those feels. And exactly. And to Lou's point, I don't have any hype over the Devils either. Before their win against Tampa Bay, they did win 5-1 on the 11th. Well, you look up the schedule ahead. I don't see that much hope either myself. Of course, we're talking about the Devils. The Islanders are playing the Rangers. They got a 1-0 lead early. The first period's still going on. The Devils get the Maple Leafs on Tuesday, tomorrow at 7 o'clock in Toronto.
Okay.
They're bad on the road.
Delightful, folks. Delightful.
Yeah. Depends who you ask, though.
Right.
The news isn't all bad in our area because over to the NBA just for a second, the Nets actually got some good news as Kyrie Irving made his return last night with the Nets. They had a pretty good outing. He's been out, quite a while with shoulder surgery, 26 games in fact. But he recently returned to practice, and he got the okay last night in the pregame warm-ups. And a decent outing. 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, and was 10 for 11 shooting. And I don't think the Nets could be happier because just before he came back, the Nets were in a major slump. They were losing 7 straight before this, and now they seem to be getting back up. They were at 17-20 before he came back, and now they're in the right direction again. Because the Nets have been plagued by injuries and whatnot, and going against tougher teams in the conference. And I think Brooklyn was starting to panic a bit. I know I was. But now they should be heading in the right direction. I wish you could say the same for the Knicks, who are only slightly improving right now. At least they have 10 wins, and they did beat Miami last night. So that's a good step in the right direction. We're pretty much out of playoff contention now anyway, but at least I see, let's say, a little bit more of signs of life from the Knickerbockers right now than we did in the beginning of the season. Thankfully, they fired Fizdale. That was the first positive step this season. Because Fizdale did nothing for us, absolutely nothing.
Barry Lee, Lou, R.J. Barrett made all his free throws, save for 2. That was a really fun game. I watched the fourth quarter. It became back and forth. The Heat took the lead, and it was a chase. The Knicks were chasing them down, and they did. It became a scramble, and the lead was going back and forth. It was a really fun fourth quarter to watch.
Yeah, I was concentrating on the NFC divisional playoff game, but that's another story for another time.
Absolutely, it's only the entertainment. You only watch the Knicks because you pay for it for the cable in New York, and it wasn't that bad of a game at all. It was just crazy that they actually got that. But on Jimmy Butler, that he are still a not bad team. So I think that was a little bit more of a stunning thing. And then, of course, going from that goal game and then to watching the Brooklyn Nets, they put like a 20-point lead early.
Yes.
Yeah, the Hawks did not get going at all. So that was a completely, 2 unique games over there. But I definitely still recommend you guys watch the Knicks fourth quarter against the Heat if you guys didn't get the chance to. It's crazy.
Right.
Right.
And ultimately, though, I still think it's really funny that one of the coaches, I think it was, what's his name, Doc Rivers, was coming to the defense that, they should have kept Fizdale on. I'm trying to figure out where he got that from. I know there was an article out there about Doc Rivers' remarks. I'm not buying into that myself. The Knicks had to move forward. It was just a matter of,
I'm not buying that either.
And they have the whole unit going. The game was all about them staying along with them. The ball movement was really good. The Knicks really got a lot of points. Oh my goodness! Especially get a win against Miami. It was just, I was hyped while watching that the whole time. And other than that, I think the Nets is concerned. The fact that Kyrie's back, Just imagine if Kyrie gets hurt again. You can't help but be in the back of my head. Kyrie's gonna just freaking. You don't want that Derrick Rose vibe. We still have those tough memories of Derrick Rose getting hurt all the time in the Bulls, and then he came over to the Knicks. You don't know if he's reliable or not. I'm so hyped. It's good feels.
Well, I don't think I'm thinking of getting hurt again. Why jinx it?
And of course, we're trying to make sure we're keeping up to date on the whole thing. So they play. You know about the Heat. We know about the Nets playing the Hawks. The Nets play the Jazz. That's what team name I was looking for. Utah Jazz versus Brooklyn Nets is tomorrow night, 7:30 at Barclays. The Knicks go to play Giannis's team, Giannis Antetokounmpo's team, the Milwaukee Bucks, 8:00 tomorrow night. So there's a yippee right there for you, another yippee.
Hey, and I was just reading the standings here of the college top 25. Seton Hall is shot all the way up to 18th in the Associated Press and the coaches poll. Of course, I always pay attention to the AP poll.
It's not a bad year. I think, they lost several times, but I like the hype around here. I don't think Eric Speck has got us on the hype. He had to run out, but to Eric's point, you have a solid team with Seton Hall, especially if you can get Tom Izzo of MSU to say, "Oh, this is the toughest team we faced in the last part of 2019." I like Seton Hall a ton here.
Yeah, and that was a big move because they went up 8 points to get in the top 25 this week.
I still think of between the two teams. I think Seton Hall is going to make the bracket for the NCAA. I don't think we're going to. I don't think this is the year Rutgers and Seton Hall makes the bracket.
No,
I hope it will. I want to bet on it if it comes up in AC. But I know, Seton Hall's they're in a good position. They got the conference power and the influence of the Big East. I still like the Seton Hall's chance of making to the dance.
Rutgers is an improved team this year, but them on the road still kind of worries me. I mean, they lost to Illinois out there, and it didn't seem like much of a competitive game down the stretch. Rutgers does worry me a little bit, but at least they're doing better than they have been in previous years. Of course, they were better in the Big East, especially at home. I mean, when they used to play, in the Big East with the RAC, I mean, they were tough to beat at home. Now, since they move over to the ACC and, become, like next to nothing, especially in football, it doesn't have the same chemistry as it did back, say, 15 years ago.
It feels like further than 15 years ago. They're in the Big East before they were in the American Athletic, definitely. So the fact that they got that win against Penn State, wasn't it? The PSU, yeah, they get the win against Penn State. I got buddies who were there who stormed the court. It was that was amazing stuff. I believe that was back when the women's team were doing really good, and the women's team was still not bad right now.
Right.
I like to be wrong. I really love to be wrong about this one, but we're definitely going to see Seton Hall do it if they beat Butler, and that's what we're discussing with Eric before. He wanted me to remind me about the Butler match, and that's Wednesday night at 6:30 on Fox Sports 1.
Right.
Now it's at Butler, correct?
At Butler.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
Ranked 5th, they are, mind you.
6th.
All right. Hey.
That kind of worries me a bit. I mean, they're playing against a top 10 team on the road. I'm almost afraid to even watch this game, to be honest, because I think it's going to be a blowout.
By how much? We got to pay attention to the lines now. I mean, the way you say that, I kind of want to get it.
I think it's going to be at least a 20-point victory for Butler.
Goodness. I mean, well, we're going to have some fun talking about hoops. I think the best shot you have right now still is the college hoops scene. So there you go. I mean, I'm definitely sold on that much. I'm definitely sold on all that.
Right. Well, remember, Alan, you got to remember also one thing, too, that when it comes down to this, the committee, pays more attention to conference wins than the overall picture, when they make their March Madness selections. So I mean, they have been good teams, but if they lose to teams like Butler and the non-top 25 teams, it could be a tough decision, come the second week of March. I mean, I like what's happening so far. They're undefeated in the conference, you said. So if they can keep up this, they'll be a shoo-in. But, some opponents, do worry me. And Butler is one of them.
Definitely, but it's college basketball. It's a big dance. The field is just incredibly. Not only is a huge expansive field, it goes for 60 teams, over 60 teams, because there's also a play-in bracket. I've never thought that there was a consistent, reliable metric. So. And you know what? Glass half full, glass half empty, glass half full. They could really jump up over there. I absolutely do have Seton Hall on my list of teams that we may underestimate where they are put in terms of the committee. You can always hope. I never knew LIU Brooklyn would always be on that list year after year after year after year. So
yeah.
What pop quiz for everyone else? What are they in the Atlantic 10 conference or one of those tiny one of those? And shout out to Brooklyn Tech, because I went to Brooklyn Tech High School. I know where the LIU Brooklyn campus is. I've never been there for hoops. The middle of downtown Brooklyn, right across from Barclays Center. They could play at Barclays if they wanted to, if we were willing to pay the rent for it. But it's always going to be. I always know that on top of St. John's and Seton Hall and LIU Brooklyn, we are definitely a college basketball town.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we might have to fit Rutgers in there, but they get some crazy wins overall. I'm just looking up the I'm gonna have to put a hold on, get back to me on the Seton Hall Butler line, because I don't think they're gonna lose by 20. I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than we can think. We can only hope.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope, and for once I hope I'm wrong.
They've had a really big season with changing the roster, players coming on suspension, off of suspension for the typical bull poopy NCAA cartels rules and whatnot. So recruiting violations, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, I was telling you guys a story before our show started about how I found out that the Giants hired Mr. Joe Judge, because we can't have enough judges.
Here comes the judge.
New York. Aaron Judge, Joe Judge is a TV producer named Mike Judge that I kept thinking of.
Judge Judy.
There you go. I was at the Showtime boxing press conference for Clarissa Shields versus Ivana Hazabin, because I get all these connections. So I was at the Hazabin Shields press conference. And we find out an hour before it started, I think it was 30 to 12, that Joe Judge got hired. And everyone was like, literally everyone was like, who's this Joe Judge? Who's this Joe Judge? Where did he come from? How did they hire Joe Judge? I think it's probably one of the most stunning decisions in NFL, to go back to us starting to talk on this show tonight about the Browns making moves. I think the Joe Judge thing might get somewhere. I think it might get somewhere a little bit, get the team well-rounded again, transition the team, but you got the offense figured out. What are you going to do with the offensive line? What are you going to do about the defense? Because I think the Giants' defense was more disappointing than any other team's defense, even more disappointing than the Dolphins. And we were discussing that for all this season in the NFL. How did you hear about Joe Judge, and what do you think about the whole situation?
I didn't hear much about him. I mean, a lot of people, especially even in this area, don't know much about him. He came from the Patriots and from the wide receiver coaches, and that was their worst position last season. So why would you take a guy from that, from the wide receivers who didn't do so well this year or last season, and come over to be head coach of the Giants? It doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind.
And another bit of trivia, the fact that he's relatively young, only one other coach is younger than him. I think Joe Judge is 37, and Fisher from the Rams, isn't he 33?
Yeah.
So you got the second youngest coach, and a coach who also got an endorsement from the Crimson Tide's coach, Alabama's coach, Nick Saban. He coached under Saban. It was really a really nice random tidbit I found about. 2 random sports trivia tidbits for you guys, free of charge from us here.
It always wonders me though how, a coach has no prior NFL experience and jumping over to the college to the NFL. I mean, it doesn't. Sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, he did coach under Saban, and of course Saban turned Alabama into a powerhouse. But the Giants are a long way from where they need to be. And over the last 3 years, they have the worst record than any football team, even worse than the Cleveland Browns. How do you like that?
Wow.
Yeah, no joke. So, I mean, could, Judge be the right guy?
Oh, can he be the right guy? Honestly, if we're going to go to conversation of, why is this guy coming off from the college football market? Why is he coming from a role at coaching wide receivers to head coach? The only reason I buy into this, and I don't generally buy into it, is because he's coming to a big market team, and a team with that's fallen off a very long way. I can't say that enough about the New York football teams in general. Especially so, I mean, it literally is a miracle he remembered how to get there. We were talking about this before the show. Look it up, folks. Pro Football Talk on NBC Sports. Joe Judge, the day he gets interviewed for the job at the New York Giants, the Giants camp told him to go to Penn Station. He comes in by Acela Amtrak. Of course, he gets off at Penn Station. He gets off at New York City Penn Station. They wanted him to get off at Newark. And of course, Pennsylvania Railroad, the original old school transit. Every station's called Penn Station on the network. He called an Uber and bailed him out from Midtown. Imagine if he got late to that one. He only had 20 minutes. He got there within 20 minutes. He was fine there. It wasn't as bad as he tried to make it off as it didn't wind up as badly as it could have. I just can't get over it. It's another one of those hilarious stories. Another ridiculous item of the week for your in sports show with Lou Tenner and Eric Speck. Saturday nights at 5 p.m.
You can bring it up if you like to on Saturday night, Alan.
Oh, me? Well, I wanted to with my sore throat and all my stuff. Oh, man.
Bring it up next. Bring it up on this Saturday show.
It's amazing, this guy with the Penn Station rule. Yeah. Another trivia tidbit for everyone. If you're going to take the train, you have to bring up the city's name before you say Penn Station.
Right.
The city name always precedes the station, and it's unbelievable that we always have to wind up going through that. There's a Pittsburgh Penn Station, a Baltimore Penn Station, a Newark, New Jersey Penn Station, which
you think
you do want to watch the Devils if you had the ridiculous random sense to do that.
I mean, they may assume which Penn Station you mean, but they want you to be accurate. You want to go to Penn Station in Newark? You want to go to Penn Station in Philadelphia? Where do you want to go? The Penn Station in New York, stupid. Okay.
And having stayed overnight at Newark Penn Station, I don't recommend it at all. That's a story for another day. It was during the night Obama got elected the first time. Okay. Really, though, what's more shocking, Joe Judge getting hired or Adam Gase, New York Jets head coach, staying put, apparently? Because they were perfectly fine with Adam Gase, apparently.
Judge getting hired.
Yep.
That's more shocking.
The follow-up's going to be if Le'Veon Bell actually stays, because I have personally been snoozing on this front, but Le'Veon Bell is obviously, I have no idea what they were thinking of in terms of the Jets' offensive mindset. I know they might be swapping out some associate coaches, maybe the offense coordinator's job, maybe in limbo because of the way they utilize it. They should have really had something this year for the Jets. They really needed something.
I don't think he's gonna come back next year. I really don't. I think he's looking to be traded.
And how many, I believe, DeMarco Murray, when I drafted DeMarco Murray for my team, when he went to the Eagles, he only lasted one season there, right?
Right.
Yeah, he went one season, then he went to the Titans, and I lamented myself on they're going to fall into that trap again. And of course, this year, Le'Veon Bell. Just hilarious fantasy football. Another lesson from us, don't gamble on fantasy football if it's over a $50 buy-in in your league, because that was – these things happen. These things happen. Okay, well, the thing is, here's the headline. Steelers wire. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers try to trade for Le'Veon Bell? So trade talks are there. New York Post. Le'Veon Bell's needle claim leads suspect moments to close 2019. So yeah, it's I think Le'Veon's going to be going as well. I mean, the reason we asked for it is I think that's really going to dictate what's going to happen for the rest of the off season. We know the coaches are going everywhere, and we heard about Shermer. What team got Shermer again?
In here, I don't know.
Probably was the Denver Broncos.
Yes, Denver.
We've had a really active season. I mean, in terms of, and the fact that the hires are happening really quickly. I think the more surprising is right before even before the Pro Bowl, which you kind of have to do if you're a GM in the team. You also don't want to wait forever and until a guy comes off the market, don't you?
Yes. And
Right.
it is Denver.
And I remember, just to show you once again how crazy the whole season is, Jason Garrett may already have a home as well. They were talking about Jason Garrett and Wade Phillips, interestingly, when I was at the Showtime Boxing, the press conference, when they were saying Joe Judge got, everyone was reading their phones and it said Joe Judge was on the push notification. They were just saying, oh, wait, the Giants may also get, they might get Wade and they may get Wade Phillips into their core of coaches too.
Yes.
Right.
It's still early times. I think we're still several coaches away. Several coaches yet to move into their spots this year. I mean, I can imagine a lot of things happening for the next few weeks. We may still be talking about a lot of the stuff come next week, so stay tuned.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
I will have to say, there's one thing that we wanted to bring up. Now that we covered the fun stuff with the hockey and the football and hoops, I think it is really very intriguing that the New York Mets got so many people off their arbitration list, and the Yankees. So the hot stove has calmed down quite a lot. Steven Matt's back, Noah Syndergaard's back, but not Todd Frazier, which I am personally bummed about. Can you help me, Lou, and help me feel better about Todd Frazier moving on to the Texas Rangers, right?
Wow. Yeah, I was surprised at that myself. Frazier didn't have really I don't think Frazier had a good year though with the Mets. So
Nope.
So I think it may have been the right move. But of course, the Rangers haven't been so great either.
It's the Mets. I mean, it went from a team. Yeah, from now you have a consistent batting team. You have the McNeils, you have Alonso, and years ago you had the Mets that looked like the Yankees. They couldn't get the people out of scoring position and back home. And I'm not surprised. I was initially surprised as you were, but Frazier's production, he's just not that cut up there. And even Conforto wasn't consistent, and he picked it up. So where's the room? Where do you have room for Frazier in this team? It's hard to find room for him now.
And, Cespedes the same thing, I mean, I think he's gone too. So that's two gone.
That roster lineup shrink is going to be we may be in for a really fascinating, dramatic spring training coming up in the Mets. And for our baseball fans, since we are in a baseball city too, I'm going to look up how many days left until they report for spring training. If you have that up at the top of your head, let me know.
Some reports early as the 13th of February, and some reports as late as the 18th. So it depends on who you ask.
And I was reading a column about the New York Yankees that they were considering trading Dale and Betances if the offer is right. And they also had one for – they got Brett Gardner back. It wasn't Brett Gardner. Brett Gardner has resigned. So, yeah, we can talk about the arbitration list for the Yankees. They sorted their list out too, right?
Yeah, and Betances is going cross town to the Mets.
Well, and I know it's a little bit of a bummer off season. The Joe Girardi took Didi Gregorius with him. Oh yes, I know. It's an insane year. I think the hot stove. We slept on hot stove a little bit. It's always a fun year to go over. What the names are going to be. It was Clint Frazier, since I always have a hard time juggling names. The Empire Sports Media was coming up with a list of who may be trade deadline names for the Yankees this year, written by Alexander Wilson from several days ago, the 12th. And he listed Miguel Andujar and Clint Frazier. Came off the surgery from Tommy John's. I think Clint Frazier is another good consistent name, perhaps. I know they hyped him up a lot, but I think, there's something to offer for him, and they want to trade Clint if his production doesn't match up. It's hard to trade these people. If you want to know what kind of fantasy football guy I am, I just go for it. I trade whoever gets hot. I don't know if you can get any offers if Frazier drops off, if a player drops off.
Yeah.
And ultimately, though, if I had to take a poll, I still think the Yankees and the Mets are going to be really relevant. I think the Yankees might come out with a better win total this year. I'm still hopeful that the Yankees might wind up doing it. I still think they're a contender, especially since they figured out their pitching stuff. They got a good pitcher this time around. I mean, they needed a better starting pitcher rotation. You would take this current Yankees rotation over last year's rotation, wouldn't you?
I would. I don't know what the rest of y'all think, but I would.
I definitely would, man. That was the complaint. Every other Vic DiBitetto video about the Yankees, it would always be rotation this, rotation that, rotation this, rotation that. And they did what they could with their starting rotation last year, and they spent elsewhere. And that worked all right for them up until second round of the playoffs, the championship series, league championship series. Oh my goodness! If we can very quickly, before I forget, since we're rounding out the show, I did read an article. They're adapting considering a Major League Baseball considering to adapt a new designated hitter rule. If the starting pitcher gets yanked, the designated hitter cannot hit anymore. The designated hitter is also out. I don't know if you read about this.
That's a new one to me.
It's incredibly fascinating because, it is. Well, you went from discussing, the National League should just adopt it, get some hits in there, but how are you going to get every team to sign a designated hitter? Is it going to destabilize the little market for? Well, now you got yourself a fascinating rule right there. If you swap out the pitcher, I'll look up the pitcher thing if you wanted to bring up any other topic on your mind, because I wanted to make sure I got this right about the designated hitter.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of controversy with this thing here, how they want to get rid of it in the American League and have it play like the National League and whatnot. So that was also one of their options. Of course, I don't see that happening either.
I was really disappointed that we didn't get Bumgarner. If Shohei Ohtani is the exciting guy. That's the pitcher who can hit. Bumgarner wasn't that bad either, and Bumgarner was on a lot of teams' lists during Hot Stove. So that was the one guy I was really interested in. And yeah, I'll make sure we look back up. I'll definitely be a correction coming for next week if we wanted to discuss.
Bumgarner's numbers have dropped in recent years as well. So
sure. Fun guy, though. I mean, he's already made it happen. He got the World Series to his name. And the fact that he was up there, I'm not surprised at all. That there were shoppers for him. His name did drop off, but especially if you're going to hold off on the designated hitter rule, It's going to be 5. If I had a nickel for every time I had my buddy on my feed, though, whine about the extra innings rule, I wanted to always pester him about the extra inning rule. The guy's always going to be at second base at the start of every extra inning.
Yeah, right. They're not going to pass that.
We've been whining about all these kinds of things, talking about the minor league. Yeah, save minor league baseball. How the league's gonna can all the minor league teams over there. I haven't seen any development for that. For everyone who's been tuning in that week in, week out, let us know if you guys hear anything, because this is kind of a chronicle with minor league. It's a national headline. There's so many teams. Mark Mancini's been talking to me about it himself. He's heard about it. So the more that you guys come up with it, if you can let us know. And if Breck, you want to let us know what you hear about it, yeah, absolutely. Because I definitely don't want to leave that out of the topic. It's just baseball has just been one of those sports where I think they're trying to do way too much.
They are.
In general, they're doing way too much. And what really are you gonna change? I mean, getting minor league baseball teams out is just the last thing you want to do, relative to the guy starting at second base every extra inning. And I thought that was funny stuff.
That's kind of weird.
I'm the kind of guy, I want like a guy starting out at first base, but I know you're going to give me crap about that. I don't know where the first base stuff came from and where the second base stuff is as well. I'm going to see if I can get the update on what's happened so far because we do have some hockey stuff going on. And if you want to head out, I was good and good. Here it is. The Rangers and Islanders have tied. Teams are now tied at 1, and they're coming out of intermission.
Yeah.
Game at Madison Square Garden.
And Thursday they play in the Barclays Center. I mean, in Long Island, they play each other again. The home and home.
Right on. I mean, the home and home. I get confused about where they're playing it. They were at Barclays several days ago. The Islanders were, and now they were. And oh, by the way, yeah, if All-Star Game, they're going to have a women's showdown this year at the All-Star Game weekend. So if you guys got the NHL Network, because I sure don't, thanks a lot, Optimum and Altice. Cablevision doesn't give us an NHL Network. But yeah, that week, I definitely look forward to it. I think it's a good watch. The showcases are always a good watch. They just had the Winter Classic, the New Year's Winter Classic, and there's always the alumni game. I like that very much. So, it was a bummer that I couldn't watch that one. The old timers game at the Winter Classic, and now of course the All-Star Game's coming up. Last year, the lady I met, Kendall Coyne-Schofield, pretty much smoked a lot of skaters in the skills competition, and I know it's going to be big this year. And if you're not going to talk about a lot of New York, New Jersey teams going over to hockey, I still think it's a good showcase to watch. Hockey is one of the better All-Star games to watch, if you ask me.
That's true.
Hockey really is fun. We get the boring Pro Bowl where they don't play any football. The football All-Stars don't really do very much to get hurt. But the hockey stuff, that's serious.
Even though it's 3-on-3.
It's a good format. Good-looking jerseys. That's good for NHL that they can sell some novel jerseys. There's like a bunch of division. Yeah, the division jerseys stuff. They try a lot of stuff, though. I'll give them more credit for that. I don't quite look forward to the baseball All-Star Game, but you're going to get a lot of New York names in the baseball All-Star Game.
Right.
Just count them off the head. I mean, besides Alonso and McNeil and DeGrom, help me out on the Yankees side. You got another several names out there. Paxton has I think Paxton could have a big year.
He should have a better year.
He should have had a better year last year, you can argue as well.
Exactly.
And there you are. I mean, so there we have it. I mean, I'm looking forward to all those headlines this year. 2020 just got started, which is why, we're all opining about what we're going to see in the hockey world and the baseball world. And the baseball is really getting a huge shot, because I saw your post on your Facebook on my buddy's Facebook too, actually, about how the Red Sox are also going to get their share of the replay gate. Carlos Beltran, the manager of the Mets, who was with the Astros, he got let off really easy. I haven't heard anything on the Beltran front. Have you? In terms of punishment for the Astros sign stealing gate.
And that was about it. You know, the 1 year ban, and then the hefty fine of $5 million.
People are saying the Astros should have gotten their titles out of it. I completely disagree with that. Because, it's unfair to the team. You got to still play the game of all things. I mean, sign stealing. My talking point, to keep this very short, because this is a Houston and Boston story, not really a New York story. If you're going to let one team do it, why don't you let all the teams do it? Everyone's got the technology, Lou. Everyone can pay for it.
That's true.
How are you going to scramble everyone's cell phone signals and video cameras? I think the whole thing is another ridiculous thing for baseball, but more so if you hear the whole thing happen again, because I'm going to bet you right now, one of the New York teams is behind this as well. I will bet you every team does it. If not every team, every other team does it. That's my talk. You can go ahead.
Sure, but they just happen to get caught, and the others haven't. So that's the problem right there.
But every other team's going to have this thing. They're going to have these connections. At least that's what I think. I don't think the sign stealing saga is over yet. I think they wish it was over. We already have a lot of things to whine about this year. Besides all this, Todd Frazier's not coming back. They got the silly second base rule for extra innings and the minor league baseball thing. It's convenient as hell because baseball's got the most headlines of all the sports right now. The football thing is what everyone's looking at right now, which is why I'm glad that we got to talk about what's going on with the Giants stuff. I'm going to look at the Jets headlines coming into next week. We'll update you. I can bet you something is going to happen on the Jets front. Definitely is going to happen on the Jets front. There might be a fascinating hire that we haven't found out about yet. But it's just utterly surreal. In my wildest dreams, coming into from last year to this year, no way did I think both teams would miss the playoffs again. I still can't come to terms with that. I mean, if we're looking back, we didn't get to do a formal year in review show. So if we want to take the notes about the whole thing, I think we did go over a little bit about the Giants' defense is just made no sense this year. I don't think they were off. Eric Speck sold me. I think the Jets had a really nice year this year. I shouldn't be very shocked that Adam Gase is going to stay put.
I think, he was going to stay put regardless of the season. If the season was going to be like 7-9 or even 3-13 or whatever, that was a given that he was going to stay another year anyway. But if it was going to be, if it didn't improve by next season, he would have been gone. So they were going to give him, the benefit of the doubt for this season anyway.
ClutchPoints.com's Matthew Schmidt put down the three major needs for the New York Jets this NFL offseason. All right, Cliff Notes. Number 3 was pass rushers. Number 2, wide receivers. 1, offensive line help. Well, what did you think about number 2? I wasn't Quincy Enunwa was out the whole year, which was a big bummer for them. And then Robbie Anderson. I don't know what kind of performance I expect out of Robbie Anderson the whole time. I didn't think he was that bad this year, but
no,
it wasn't that bad. And you got a capable quarterback. I'm very interested about number 2. I mean, what can you expect out of improving wide receivers and offense here? And other than 1, I like him pointing out point number 1 over here about, well, we need more the team's going to need more offensive line help. But frankly, I think the Giants are more in the need of offensive line help. How many times has Mr. Daniel Jones eaten it? Good mobile guy, but that's just the theme this year. Both New York teams just lacking a little bit with the offensive line. You got big, strong offensive lines these days. The moment you have that offensive line set up, the moment they fortify it and they lock in and they don't let anybody by you, I mean, you can get even a marginally okay quarterback. He's gonna get you a lot out of the tank. He's gonna do very well for you. And I look at Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't that bad with the Dolphins. He had his moments, so He had his moments, and that's what it takes. But you're not going to find any of that in New York this year at all. So, no, I'm definitely fascinated in what the Jets is going to do. I don't, and there you are. If you're going to tune in, I think we're going to talk a lot more about the football stuff. I can't wait to see what comes out of the football front next year and all that. Lou, can you do me a favor? We're 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Give a shout out to your show on Saturday, will you?
Glad to. For those of you who don't know, I do have another show out there. It's called the Enhanced Sports Show. By the way, that's with an E, not with an I. Keep that in mind. We're on 5 to 7 East Coast time. We switched over to a new provider a few weeks ago. We are now on the Uber service. And I'll give the number out if anybody's interested. It is 512-543-4662. The number again is 512-543-4662. And you do not need a pound sign to call in. So, just dial the number and we'll get you in. So you do get squat. But if you're going to be a foul mouth, on the air, forget it. We want to make this a nice, clean family show as much as we possibly can. But, we're going to be discussing it. We got a lot to discuss on Saturday's show. And it's also a bit of a milestone for me personally. I'll explain that on the show Saturday.
Early congratulations to you. Yeah, I tune in all the time. Eric Speck's going to be there as well. So shout out to Eric and you. And wanted to get Betty on here, but we've been having connectivity issues in and out the whole time, and especially with Breck as well. So I wanted to give my personal thanks to them, Breck and Eric Speck, Betty, of course, Betty is Sports Shark, and Lou. My thanks to you as well. And again, my congratulations. I wanted to thank the guys at Primetime with the StablesNetwork.com. Primetime with the StablesNetwork.com. They redesigned the website. We're streaming there right now or on the Spreaker platform, and you can check out all the prior casts, all the back episodes on there. Back when we were talking about what the miserable football season we've had, and Seton Hall's very nice run, starting with, of course, the MSU showdown, our quotes and what we thought about that game. But yeah, wanted to thank Breck a lot. Wanted to thank Mark Mancini, myself. It's real fun to do this show the whole time. We're thrilled to be back, and we're gonna hopefully be back again next week. And yours truly, Alan Wu. I'm available at twitter.com/theotheralanwu. And now that we're set up for that night, Lou, thanks again. I can't wait to hear from you on Saturday too. I'm gonna see if I can get back to you on Saturday. And thanks again to the team at the Stables Network. Once again, Primetime with the StablesNetwork.com. We got a full night of shows coming up over here all across America. It's been a huge pleasure. We got to get going. 8 o'clock's coming. Food's coming. Lou, we'll talk very soon, all right? Thanks again.
All right. You can also reach on Facebook, too, at LuchSnore45@gmail.com. I capitalize the G.
Can I have the host, if Breck or if one of you guys are over there, now that we're all set, message me on Facebook if you wanted me to go over the quote you wanted to give. If there was any of the apps, because I only found out about the redesign for the website. Well, I knew about the redesign of the website. Go to the website day in, day out. I wanted to know if there was any of the scripts that we need to run over that I can discuss next week. Just let me know. Get back at me on Messenger for that. I'm still gonna be on for like another 5-10 minutes. I do have to grab the food. Been really fun, everyone. Public service. Now that we're done talking about all strict sports, the big boy, big dude sports, Jeopardy, greatest of all time. Binge watch it now because it's back on tomorrow. You literally have 24 hours left to catch up to the show. It's not bad stuff. Yep, thank you. Could I just, if anybody's up there, I'm going to type out on the chat. I do have one thing to bring up. If we are able to, just let me know and, okay, yes, I remember my train of thought. The webcam thing. My webcam was working the whole time. I turned it off because Eric Specht wasn't calling in this time with video. He always does it week before, and that's why I wanted the video feed. I would recommend video feed if it was pretty possible. So if you guys wanted to go over that, and also if for the next subsequent shows, whether there could be a setting to turn off everyone's videos, so we only have the Stables Network on the left side and the Bannon for the show on the right. Just to make sure that, you know, we have a little consistent set with everything else. Crud. There is another question I have. Whether or not I can make a PowerPoint with some evidence exhibitions. If we can just I want to know how to add that feature in because I called Mark Mancini and we were just talking about, well, how are we going to use the interface for the Stables Network and what we can put in. You have a picture set up. No, the show's already done with it. I already signed off. I know.
Okay. And welcome to the Stables Network with Tampa Talk with Bradley Walker.
Hey guys, it's Monday night. This is the Sportster, and this is Brad. This is Mr. Brad Walker, and this is Tampa Talk, like my producer said. Welcome, guys, to my Monday show. Again, this will be before I move on to my show. This will be the one. This will be the last Tampa Talk show. This show will be rebranded next week to the Sunshine State Sports Jabber, which I will cover the entire state of Florida, not just Tampa anymore. I want to thank Mr. Mark Mancini and Mr. Greg Smith for giving me the opportunity to do that next week. As you can see behind me, the wall has changed behind me since the last time you guys saw me. With the holidays and everything else, I took a couple weeks off to kind of recharge my batteries. As you can see behind me, if you're following me on Facebook Live, I have a USF and Tampa Bay Lightning photos behind me that my brother-in-law made me for Christmas. I also finally got my Deadly Rival roller derby jersey signed by all the derby girls. That will also be going up in the next couple weeks, where you guys will be able to see that. I want to thank them a lot for doing that. But as we all know, guys, I mean, as of right now, we're getting ready for kickoff for the national championship game. But this evening, I'm just going to, like I said, this will be my last Tampa Talk show. So I'm going to talk about Tampa sports. I'm going to touch on the Tampa Bay Vipers, which is the XFL team. Talk about the Bucks, Lightning, Rays, and the USF Bulls. But again, guys, that will all still be a part of my show next week. I'm not going to not leave Tampa out. What I'm going to talk about next week basically will be, pro football, college football, pro basketball, college basketball, so on and so forth. I'm going to touch all of them, but I'm going to touch every city in the state of Florida, the major cities in the state. I'll be talking about all of that, but again, that's next week. So let's go ahead and get, guys. I'm going to go ahead and start with the XFL. Again, the season is getting ready to start here soon, next month. So here is the 5 ways. This is off of BleacherReport.com. This article is by Mr. David Harrison. This is how the XFL is different from the NFL. And if you do not know the XFL teams, they are as follows. There are 7 teams in the XFL this upcoming year. You have the Seattle Dragons, the LA Wildcats, the Dallas Renegades, the Houston Roughnecks, the St. Louis Battlehawks, Tampa Bay Vipers, the DC Defenders, and I believe that is the New York Guardians are the 7 XFL teams. The one that's here in Tampa is the Tampa Bay Vipers. They will be playing at Raymond James Stadium, which is where the USF Bulls and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers both play their home games. But here's 5 ways that you can that differ from the NFL, what the XFL will be for this. The first thing, guys, is the kickoff. Kickers are not allowed to kick the ball out of bounds or short of the 20-yard line, and breaking the rule result in the opposing team starting at their own 45. So there is that. The only drawback is there will be no surprise or onside kicks in the XFL. The point after touchdown rule for the XFL, it will be that the Viper fans will not have that problem. Extra points are used in prime time. So the XFL did away with that. They're going to adopt a 1, 2, or 3 point try after a touchdown. So that's a different thing with the XFL. The punt rule is no aiming for the corner. A 35-yard touchback spot eliminates strategy of offense if used to set the defense up. That's a different one. The next one is you can double forward pass. So you can forward pass in the XFL. And the overtime rule is in overtime there will be a winner. They will not just adding 5 plays to the game. There will be an overtime play, overtime in the XFL. That's what makes it a little bit different from that. Well, let's talk a little bit about the hometown Tampa Bay Vipers. Here is some of the players that are making the roster on the defensive line. You have Obama Godaway out of Oregon State, Ricky Walker out of Virginia Tech, Damos Mont out of Louisville. Second team is Devin Taylor out of South Carolina, Josh Banks out of Wake Forest, Jason Neal, he's an unrestricted free agent, Bobby Richardson out of Indiana, Nikita Whitlock out of Wake Forest, C.C. Jefferson out of Florida, and Giorgio Newberry he's on injured reserve. The linebackers are Emmanuel Beal out of Oklahoma, Reggie Northup out of FSU, Lucas Waka out of Wyoming, Terrence Palmer out of UCF, Ike Spearman out of Eastern Michigan, Anthony Stubbs out of Prairie View A&M. The defensive backs are DeMont Hurst out of Oklahoma, Herb Waters out of Miami, Jared Collins out of LSU, Corey Moore out of Georgia, Robinson Terezi out of Auburn. Those are all cornerbacks. Bryce Candy out of FIU, Terrence McFadden out of FSU, Shelton Lewis out of FAU, Marcellus Branch out of Robert Morris, and Mika Hammerman out of BYU. 13 would be Althura Kelly out of Fresno State, Rodney Randall out of Lamar, Ronell Hall out of UCF, and Robert Firster out of Wyoming. Special teams, their kicker is Andrew Franks. They're Jake Sham and Nick Moore. Special teams, then they have the second team with Matthew Bright out of UCF. So those are special teams, defense, and linebackers. That is the projected defense and special teams for the Vipers. The starting quarterbacks for the Vipers, if you do not know, are Aaron Murray out of Georgia and Quinton Flowers out of USF are the starting running backs. Here is the funny thing about this. It says, is the XFL doomed? This is a controversial wisdom anyway. In it, spring football is not NFL football. It just doesn't work. And the naysayers are sure to persuade that differently. But, you know, there it is, guys. I mean, is the XFL doomed? You know, that's the question. Is it doomed? You know, are we would be another again, this already failed once, guys. The XFL did fail once already. So it's very interesting to see how this will go again. Of course, we all know that the owner and creator of the league is, of course, Vince McMahon, who also owns the WWE. So, like I said, this failed once before, but we were told that this was supposed to be better this time around. Here are the offensive coaches. You have James Adazio, offensive coordinator and receivers coach. Jonathan Hombach is the offensive line coach. Pete Mangarin, and I apologize, guys, if I'm mispronouncing these names, tight ends coach. Justin Poindexter is the running backs coach. Josh Newswander is the quarterbacks coach. Jerry Glanville is defensive coordinator. Burt Hill is defensive line coach. Mike Archer is the linebackers coach. William Fields is the secondary coach. Billy Parker is assistant secondaries coach. Frank Goss is a special teams coordinator, and head coach is Mark Trestman. Here is the roster. Again, for those that the start for the offense, you have Taylor Cornelius, who's a quarterback as well. Quentin Flowers, as we mentioned, Aaron Murray, Dante Dye is a wide receiver. Snanius Jones, KJ May, Jalen Tolliver, Reese Horn, Tanner McCoy, Devon Smith, Jaquez Patrick, DJ May. These are the offensive guys. Taryn Folston is also on the team. Let's see. Offensive. You have Isaiah Williams as an offensive tackle, Trey Jackson, offensive guard, Jordan McCray, offensive center, Deontay Bolton, Jared Folster, William Campbell, Christian Morris, Martez Ivy, Marcus Lucas, Andrew Tiller, Deontay Goldsby, Daniel Williams, Alonzo Moore, Ryan Davis, Freddie Martino, Nick Trusdell, Colin Thompson, Willie Quinn III, Javal Davis, Pearl McIntyre, Bobby Richardson. Bobby Richardson's a defensive guy, but those are the offensive guys that are here that are playing for the Tampa Bay Vipers. If you guys are watching TV right now, LSU is in the tunnel getting ready to come out. So here is the Vipers schedule. Week 1, again, will be on February 9th. That is a Sunday. They'll be playing at the New York Guardians. A week later, they'll be playing at Seattle. Their first home game, guys, is on Saturday, February 22nd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Eastern time as they play the Houston Roughnecks. They have they play the following week against the DC Defenders at home. Then they're on the road again against the Los Angeles Wildcats. Then they have 2 straight home games against St. Louis and Dallas. Then they go on the road to play the Defenders and the St. Louis Battlehawks, and then they're home. The last game of the season is April 12th at Raymond James Stadium. They'll be playing the New York Guardians. So they're going to play everybody 1 game at home and 1 game on the road. The only difference is they will not be playing the Seattle Dragons at Raymond James Stadium. That is not on the schedule, but everyone else is on the schedule for the Tampa Bay Vipers. So, guys, get ready. I mean, it's coming up. The tickets were announced on the radio today, $20 per game for season tickets. So if you get 2 seats, that's $40 a game. And there are 5 home games and 5 road games. So 5, do the math, guys. That's $200 for season tickets. The XFL. If you're a big football fan, you don't want to lose football because, guys, we're in playoff. This is the conference championships coming up. Tonight, college football will be over. By the end of the weekend, this upcoming weekend, we'll know who is in the Super Bowl. So that will be, and football is almost over. So if you guys still want to watch football, you may want to try to hit up the if you have an XFL team in your area, go for it. If not, try to watch it on TV. I'm gonna try to tune in, guys, and see what it's like. I'm to watch the Vipers again. I'll be here in Tampa. I did the website iRock Media that I write for did apply for credentials. I'm hoping that I get them because it would be kind of cool to cover, I guess not pro football, but close enough to it. So we'll have to wait and see how that all comes out. But until then, guys, that is what I'll bring it up, and I'll be covering the Vipers on this show because they're really the only Florida XFL team that we have. There are no other teams in the state of Florida outside of Tampa that got a team. So far, if this thing goes the way it goes, the only team in the XFL in the state of Florida happens to be the Vipers. So I'll be covering them throughout the season on this show on Sunshine Sports Talk, Sunshine State Sports Jabber moving forward. All right, guys. So that's it for the Tampa Bay Vipers. So let's move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, again, guys, I have not been on the air since the season ended. The season did not end the way that Buccaneer fans would have wanted. They finished 7-9. They went into overtime in the final game of the season against the Atlanta Falcons. Unfortunately, they came up short as Jameis Winston threw another pick 6. He had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions this year. He was the first quarterback in NFL history to do that. So now the question remains is, do the Buccaneers bring him back for the 2020 season? Is the question, will we see him in a Buccaneer uniform in a matter of, 7 to 8 months from now when the season begins? We'll have to wait and see if he's still in a Buc uniform or if he's gone. If he stays, they really don't have any options. They have Ryan Griffin, who they have not let. I think he's taken 1 or 2 NFL snaps. He took some snaps when Winston got hurt during a game this year. Outside of that, guys, he has not got any starts. So, okay, you're going to go out and try to get one of these guys that are, like a Phillip Rivers or a Andy Dalton or an Eli Manning. Does that make it any better? Will that make it better for the Buccaneers next season? I think the one thing, if the Bucs are going to keep him, they better make sure they get an offensive line, because that was, I think, guys, the major problem this year was the fact that the offensive line did not play very well. They need to establish a running game. Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber are not the answers, guys. They're going to have to get a running back in the draft. That's just the way it's going to be. So, I'm sure that I have, Buccaneer fans out there. I'm sure I have Jameis Winston people that support him. I've had Jameis Winston people that don't like him, that are not fans of him. So again, he threw 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions this past season. The Bucs did finish 7-9. Now that is better than the 5-11 the previous 2 seasons. So the team seems to be moving in the right direction. But this cannot happen next year, guys, because again, if you can think back, let's look back at the season real quick. There was at least 4 games or 5 games this team should have won and did not. Starting in week 1 with the 49ers. Could have won that football game. Failed to win that game. The New York Giants, they failed to win that game. Should have won that game. The Seattle Seahawks game. Should have won that game. Failed to do that. The Seattle Seahawks game. Or did I mention the Seahawks? They should have won that game. Should have beat the Falcons at the end of the season. There were only a few. The Houston Texans game, they had a chance to win that game as well and could not do it. So if you take those 5 games and you flip those around, you're looking at 12-4, and this team may be in the playoffs. We'll be talking about a playoff team. Would they have got to the conference championship game? Probably not, but they still would have been in the playoffs, and they still would have been in the picture to get to the playoffs. So hopefully next year, Bruce Arians fixes this. It's going to be an issue that they bring him back. Now, again, the biggest one, guys, as far as free agents in the quarterback position, probably would be Teddy Bridgewater. If they can get him out of the New Orleans Saints, now remember, the Saints are also out. They got knocked out. So now the question is, with Drew Brees coming back, if Drew comes back, will you want Teddy Bridgewater to start or not? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, will he get a chance to start? If he doesn't, would he want to come here? If he does come here, they're going to have to shore up the offensive line because Bridgewater has had some knee injuries. So you don't want to end up hurting him in the first couple of weeks of the season. So if that's the case, they're going to have to keep that going. Another thing I think the Bucs are looking at too, again, we were just talking about running backs. They're going to have to shore up the running back situation. They're going to be picking, later in the draft since the 7-9 record. So, it will be interesting that, they should go after a running back or offensive line help. I think both of them are needed. The secondary, they may need to go out and get some free agents in the secondary to sign some guys to help them out in free agency, because that's just the way it goes. But I really honestly do not believe that they're going to trade Mike Evans, Adam. I don't see the Bucs doing that. That's a big part of the offense. I don't see that. I mean, unless they're going to trade up to get Detroit's pick, that would be the only thing that I could see them doing. But I don't see them trading away Mike Evans. He was a big with Dobbins and Taylor in the draft. I don't know. Well, that'll be interesting to see in the next few months as the draft gets closer in April. How we'll have to see, how that goes. But the Bucs guys. It's going to be interesting now. The next few months, they can to talk to see who they're going to bring in as a quarterback, if they're going to keep him, what trades they're going to make during the offseason and stuff like that. Let's go ahead, guys, and talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. There have been some trades recently that the Rays have made. The Rays did trade away Matt Liberatore, which is a prospect pitcher, to the Cardinals, and they acquired outfielders Jose Martinez and Randy Ozarena as well. They also gave away some prospects as well. So this is kind of different for the Rays. Normally, the Rays trade players for picks and prospects. This time around, they did the complete opposite and traded away prospects to get actual players that will be ready this year. This team knows, it's fighting the bullet. Because you play in a division with the Yankees and the Rays. I'm sorry, the Yankees and the Red Sox. I apologize. When you play in a division with those guys, it makes it a little bit more harder because they can go out and sign free agents. The Rays don't have that kind of payroll. In fact, the Rays were dead last in payroll last year in Major League Baseball, and they won 99 games. So you can show how that goes. But the funny thing is, they, like I said, they usually do not trade away prospects for picks, but this time around they didn't. So let's see how this works out for them. As a fan of a team that is in the same division as they are, I'm gonna admit that I'm pretty scared, and I can honestly say this too. I don't know what the punishment is for my team coming here. If you guys did not see what happened today with the Houston Astros, if you guys, I'm going to cover that on, of course, guys. My normal show, the Walker Report, will not be on Thursday. It'll be on Wednesday late night. I'm going to be on from 10 p.m. till 12 a.m. So strap in for a long show. I'm going to be up till midnight. I'm getting ready. I'm going out of town this weekend. I wanted to get my show in. I didn't want to leave another week with no show. That's why I'm doing this show this evening too, guys, because I didn't want to leave this show again. If you guys did not catch it earlier at the beginning of the show, next week, this show will be rethemed. The Sunshine State Sports Jabber. I will be covering the entire state of Florida. This will not just be strictly about Tampa sports. It'll be the entire state. I'm going to cover everything pro basketball, college basketball, pro football, college football, baseball, XFL. I'll cover that. If there's any soccer, any major events going on in the state of Florida, I'm going to try to cover bowl games. I'll probably be covering, letting you guys know my thoughts on the East-West Shrine game that's happening this weekend. So we'll have a lot to talk about. The show will be going to an hour, maybe longer next week, because I'm going to have a lot to talk about more than that. Yes, I do think Alex Cora will be suspended. I think in the end of it, it will be. Let me go ahead, guys. I've been, as you can see behind me, to my left or right. It's on my right, but the camera's turned around, so my left. If you see behind me, I was at some Lightning games over the weekend. I went to the game last Thursday. That's why there was no show. They won 4-0 over Arizona. They just had their 10-game winning streak snapped last night by the Devils, 2-1 in New Jersey. Let's hope that they can start a new series coming up on tomorrow night when they play the LA Kings at Amway Arena. If you guys have not gotten a chance to go out and watch a game, go tomorrow, because it will be the last home game of the month. Because the fact of the matter is, they have a lot of road games in the month of January. So this will be the last home game of the month for the Lightning. But again, it'll come down to that. But again, they've been playing very well. This team looks like they've turned around and turned this season around, as they have moved, from a middle pack team to second in the division behind the Boston Bruins. They are 4 points ahead of Toronto, and they're only 7 points behind Boston to first place in the division. So the Lightning have been doing very well so far. So look, the Lightning have done very well. I look to see them get back on top tomorrow night against the Kings moving forward. Watching the national championship, guys, right now, and the funny thing about it is Clemson sidelines. Head coach Jeff Scott will be coming to USF after this evening to start his tenure. He's got a big coaching staff that he's compiled together to get this thing started. The funny thing, I told my buddy, I think that this is one of those years that that they're probably going to go 6-6 or 5-7 with a new head coach, trying to get the system in. Yes, Adam, you are correct. We are 4 weeks away from the Daytona 500. And because I'm covering the state of Florida now, guys, I will actually talk about the Daytona 500, because guess what? That's a Florida event, and I'll be talking about that as well. So Jeff Scott is the offensive coordinator for the Clemson Tigers. So he will be taking over USF here in the next couple weeks. I was actually at my first college basketball game yesterday at the Yingling Center in Tampa. USF was playing Memphis you guys do not know who Memphis's head coach is, that would be the Anthony Penny Hardaway. I talked about Memphis on the Walker Report a bunch with their player being suspended. He wasn't there yesterday, but the Memphis Tigers were down by 9 points midway through the third quarter and came all the way back to beat the Bulls by 4. So that is definitely something that they'll have to clean up. It was kind of cool. I had never been inside the Yuengling Center, but it was very, very cool. In fact, I got this yesterday, guys. I don't know if you can see this very well, but that is Dick Vitale's autograph. I got this in the press box, not in the press box, but in the club level as we were walking out. Somebody left this on the table. He was actually there in person doing the game for ESPN2 yesterday. They gave him a signed basketball at halftime, but I was able to get this card on my way out, and somebody left this, so I picked it up. This is his autograph, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in a frame because this is, pretty cool. I'm a big Dickie V fan myself as well. Like I said, guys, it was very interesting. I definitely would go back for another basketball game if I was invited back to go. I know it's not very expensive to go to a game. I also, guys, I don't know if I can show this. I'm going to try to do this without damaging my camera and or myself. But if you can see this, I'm going to cover myself up here. This was given to me also on Saturday. If you do not know, I am a huge roller derby fan. I attend the roller derby matches once a month. And there would happen to be one this past Saturday. They gave me that jersey, guys. That is signed by every one of the active Deadly Rival roller derby skaters. That jersey right there will be behind me in the near future. I'm going to try to definitely put it up moving forward. But that was kind of a cool thing that I got kind of a couple autographed items over the weekend. But I think, guys, that is going to about do it. I think my half hour is up. Let me see here real quick. I want to make sure that I have that. I believe college basketball is awesome. I really did enjoy the game. I got into it late in the game. Also, too, guys, if you can see behind me, you see like little cords hanging behind me. Those are my credentials. That was an idea. Also, too, I've moved walls since the last time I saw you guys. I moved across my room. I'm going to try to, I'm going to be gone this weekend, but over the weekend when I come back on Sunday, I'm going to try to do this wall behind me. I may even, guys, go out and try to get a video camera and put it in front of me and do it that way instead of doing Facebook Live, and I'll post this later on, or I'll have it synced into where I can do Facebook Live from the camera, where it'll use the camera instead of the webcam, and I'll be able to put the jersey in front of the table. But it was a very, very good weekend, guys, and I want to say thanks to everybody who supported Tampa Talk, and please, don't hesitate to come over and be on my other show, the new show. This will just be renamed. It's still going to be the same good show that I have every week. It'll be on Monday nights. Like I said, it may go from 8 to 10 now, or 8 to 9. I'm going to see how the format goes. So I'm going to have a lot more to talk about. I'm still going to leave this stuff up behind me. You're still going to see USF and Tampa stuff. I will have my roller derby jersey either in front of me or behind me. I'll figure that out, guys, as it goes. But I want to thank everyone that, has supported the show. I'm not going anywhere. It's going to be renamed. I'm going to have a lot more to talk about. Hoping to grab a little bit more demographic. I did happen to reach out on LinkedIn to a couple guys. I got into another group. I'm going on someone's show tomorrow, talk about the national championship game and the Outback Bowl that I was at as a credential writer. So I'm going to see what that's going to do. Maybe I can bring in some new audience. Adam, I'm trying to get Adam his own show. That's right. I reached out to my man Mark Mancini, try to get him his own show. Hopefully that conversation went well. But guys, I think that's going to wrap up the final Tampa talk. You know, this is how it goes, guys. This is again, the show will be called the Sunshine State Sports Jabber starting next week. I'm going to talk about all Florida sports, all the events that are going on. I'm going to try to cover it all, try to get everyone in here, all Florida fans, not just the Tampa Bay area. But the Tampa Bay area will be part of this. I'm not going away from the Tampa Bay area. This is all going to be a part of this. So, guys, again, I love you guys so much. Thank you for your support. I'll see you guys next Monday. Again, it'll be 8 o'clock. If you guys can join me, come hop on with me on the Walker Report this upcoming Wednesday. It's a special day, guys. 10 p.m. till midnight. It's gonna be a late night show. I can't wait to see how that goes. But I'm doing it because I'm getting ready to go on vacation this weekend to celebrate my niece's birthday. So I won't be here on Thursday night, but I wanted to do a show. But guys, like I said, I love you guys very much. Thank you for all your support. See you guys next week on the new format next week. I will see you then. Again, I want to extend my thanks to our soldiers, both abroad, both domestic. I want to send prayers to the ones that are in Iraq right now, trying to keep us safe. Thank you for all our military that you guys do. Thank you to our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics, our domestic soldiers for keeping us safe here abroad and giving me a chance to talk to you guys every Monday. Again, guys, until we meet again next Monday under a new name, this is the Sports Center, Brad Walker signing off. Love you guys. Peace.